Hello everybody. I hope you enjoyed your break. I know I sure did. Today we are going to start in chapter 8.1. I know you may not have your books with you, but if you do, you can always refer back to that section. I'll tell you one thing. I am going to try to keep the assignments to just 1 or 2 IXL assignments a day, so we don't get as bogged down as I think we did a little bit last time. So if you want to pause this, if you haven't printed out these note sheets, you might want to have them in front of you so you can follow along. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to start talking about first something called relations. A relation can be thought of as a set of ordered pairs so basically it's just a pairing of two sets of values. So it is a pairing of two sets of values. But the main way we think of it is a set of ordered pairs. And by the way, a set of ordered pairs is when you have an X value and a Y value in parentheses like this. That is called an ordered pair. And we use those for graphing, so we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So another definition we need is a domain. The word domain means the set of all X values, and the range is the set of all Y values. Now we're going to get to some examples of these relations in just a minute. We're going to first find out that relations can be written in several ways. They can be written as ordered blank. Well, we just talked about that, right? Ordered pairs. Relations can be written as ordered pairs. They also can be written in a table form. They also can be written in something called a mapping. And we will talk about what a mapping is in just a moment. And finally, it can be represented with a graph. All right, so we're going to look at these out of order. Our worksheet talks about mapping first. So for a mapping, we're going to create two ovals with the domain on the left and the range on the right. You don't repeat elements, and we're going to connect the elements with an arrow. So we don't have specific values right now, but I'm just going to show you an example. So let's say these are the X values and these are the Y values. The mapping would look like this. So you have arrows showing what goes with what. Now, we know what a graph is. A table is going to look something like this, where we have X values and Y values. So maybe from if we just use what I have here, an X value of 1 corresponds with what Y value? 6. And then an X value of 2 corresponds with a 7. And an X value of 3, the arrow goes to the 5, so 3 goes to 5, 3 goes to 5. So that's how those relate. We can show it this way, or we can show it in a table, or we could graph once we knew the ordered pairs. So we're going to skip this part for now. Hold on to the sheet and we'll talk about that either tomorrow or Wednesday. So we're going to hold on to that thought. We're going to turn the page. Now this says homework. You can cross that out because I'm going to do it with you right now. Now, if you want to pause it and try to do it yourself, that would be good practice. Let me go through it with you. So, represent the relation shown in the graph as a set of ordered pairs, a table, a mapping, then determine the domain and range. So first of all, let's do ordered pairs first. So remember, ordered pairs have to have an x value and a y value. So what we need to do is for every point on this graph, we need to write down its x and y value. Now on the paper, it lists them, or it gives us that choice here, but they don't give us much room. So I'm going to come up here and do it. So the ordered pairs, let's just start with this point. I'm going to number these actually so it's a little easier. Alright, so don't get those confused with numbers on the graph though. So for point 1, what would the ordered pair be? Well, you have to remember to look at the x value, which is -3, and the y value, which is +3. Okay, so we looked at graphing earlier this year, but you have to remember those steps. You locate the point and you want the x value and the y value. So let's try the second point. What is the x value here at point 2? You go over -1 and you go up +2. So you see that we go over -1 and up 2. So x is -1, y is 2. That's our ordered pair. Now the next point here, I called it point 3. What do we do on the x direction? We go over 1 and then we go up 1 also. So that's over 1, up 1 to get to that point. Now how can we get to this point? We have to go over 1 and up how many? 3. And so those are those 4 points. This point, we go over 3 and down 2. So that's 3, -2. And for this last one, we go over 4 and down 2. So that's 4, -2. So that is my set of ordered pairs for that particular graph. Now, I think I probably should have called these, I don't know if it makes a difference now, but I'm going to change these to letters just so it won't be so confusing having numbers all over the place. Okay, but that is A, the set of ordered pairs. Ordered pairs. So we have done A. Check off A. Now, as a table, well, they give us the outline of the table here, and all we need to do is fill in the x and the y values. So we're going to take what we just found and use that to fill this in. So when x is -3, what was y? A +3. When x is -1, y was 2. When x is 1, y is 1. When x is 1, y was also 3. When x is, make sure I got enough spaces, when x is 3, y is -2. And when x is 4, y is also -2. So that's what it looks like in table form. All right, now mapping. Okay, so for the mapping, what we want to do is take all these x values and put them in this first oval. But we don't want to write anything twice. So you see here how 1 appears more than once? We're only going to write it one time in our oval. So the x values go in the first one, the y values in the second one. So they don't have to be in order. I'm just going to start writing -3, -1, 1. Remember, don't repeat it. Just go on to the 3 and the 4. Now do the same thing with the y's. We have a 3, a 2, a 1, a 3. Well, I've already got 3, so I don't need to write it again. A -2, And -2, we don't need to write it again. Okay, so now to draw the mapping, we just draw an arrow to show what goes with what. So a -x goes to a +3, so we draw an arrow. A -1 goes to 2. Make sure you're going in this direction. You're always drawing the arrow from X over to Y. Now from a 1 to a 1, so far we're just going straight across. Now from a 1 to a 3, all right, now it's getting interesting. So we go this way. Can you see that arrow? And then a 3 to a -2. And 4 to a -2 also. So that's what our mapping looks like. It shows us what all the relations are between all the numbers. Okay, now it asks us to do one more thing. Let me pull this down. Determine the domain and range. Okay, so remember we said briefly on that other page, the domain is the set of all X values. All X values. So we're going to write a set bracket, which looks like this, and then we're just going to list all the X values, not repeating any. So I'm just going to use from here, because there we already have left out all the duplicates. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are our 5 X values. Now the range, that is the Y values. So let's list all those. This is a -2, so we have 4 of them. 3, 2, 1, -2. So those are our domain and range values. So these skills are the only things you'll have to be responsible for on the assignment in IXL today. And so if you go to Google Classroom, I have several things in there you've probably already seen, but I'm specifying which IXL sections there are by the topic and the name, so it'll be easier for you to keep track of what you've done. All right, so go ahead and get started, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.